That's who I am. That's who I am. Good Father. Like, I don't think we realize how much better of a father God is than we are. I don't think we realize how much better of a father God is than we are. I think I'm a pretty dope father. I think I'm pretty good at it. I guess I pat my own back. I think I'm a pretty good father. And God is better than that. Like, even on my best day with all the best decisions I've made, he's better at being a father than I am. The significance of that is this: that if I see my child in need, and I being a halfway decent father would meet that need, how much more so would a perfect father do it?
Wow.
How much more so would a perfect father do it? There are some times when my children have things and I overlook them. There's sometimes when they might need me and I might not be there. There's sometimes when they need me and I might not be aware of it. Never is the case with our Father in heaven.
That's right.
Never is the case. So it's even in those times when it feels like God doesn't see us, he does.
Yes.
Even in those times when it feels like he doesn't hear us, he does.
Yes.
When it seems like he's unaware, he's not.
Yes.
And so if God is waiting, it's usually not us waiting on him. It's usually him waiting on us.
Amen.
And so I woke up this morning, and I do what I always do, my Sunday morning ritual. God, what you got? God, what you got? I'm not that deep. I'm no great theologian. It's just like, Lord, give me something. And I strongly believe that God has a sense of humor. Anybody agree with that?
Yes.
Like, I can't prove it, but I believe in my heart of hearts that God has a sense of humor.
Absolutely.
So I'm doing my quiet time. I'm like, God, give me something. And this is what came to me. So don't laugh. He said, what I heard was, what would you do for a Klondike bar? I said, God, you got jokes. I'm sitting in my quiet meditation, and that's what pops up in my head. So I said, all right, Lord, that's what we're running with. Some of the younger kids may not know that, but y'all remember the early 80s, mid 80s, and a little bit of late 80s, and they would walk up to random people on the street and say, excuse me, sir, what would you do for a Klondike bar? Would you bark like a dog for a Klondike bar? And then they would bark like a dog and they'd give them a Klondike bar. Would you ooh, 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 like a monkey for a Klondike bar? And they would ooh, 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 and they get a Klondike bar. And the question was asked, what would you do for a Klondike bar? And my question for you is, what are you willing to do to get what you want? What are you willing to do to get what you want? Because that's all the commercial was asking. How far are you willing to go to get that thing that you desire? Luke 14:28 puts it this way. It says, in the NIV version, it says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? Simple question. He says, listen, you're getting ready to build something. Even the simplest of you know that before you build it, you need to sit down, look at the cost, and see if you have what it takes, not to start the project, but to finish it.
Right.
And many of us, when we ask ourselves that question, that statement is a discouragement.
Okay.
Because for many of us, we look at that and we start to assess what we have in the natural. And with common sense, we can tell that 1 plus 1 isn't 12.
Right.
1 plus 1 was 2, 2 is 2, and will be 2.
Right.
But if you need 12, 1 and 1 isn't going to get it done.
Right.
It's not going to do it.
Yes.
And so for many of us, counting the cost is discouraging. Why many of us don't even look at it, because we know that if we begin to look at our resources in the natural, if we look at our education level in the natural, or our connections in the natural, it would make us decide that we shouldn't build this house.
Exactly.
In the natural.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I don't think that that's what the question was really asking. I believe what he was doing was saying that what you need to do is develop a plan. Because I don't know about you, no matter what situation I'm in, if I have a plan to get out of it, I'm calm. As long as I know how to fix this, I'm good. Many of you have AAA. got AAA? AAA does not stop you from getting flat tires.
Right.
But it gives you the peace of mind that if you get one, you have a way out. And so if you have AAA, when your car breaks down, you just pull out your little car. It's an inconvenience, but you don't worry because you know you have a plan.
Right.
But for those of you who don't have AAA, you get a flat tire and your heart starts is pounding because you start going through, what am I going to do? And I'm simply suggesting that a plan can give you peace. When you know you have a way to accomplish a particular task, it makes the task seem not so insurmountable. If you have a plan. But I've learned something about the Creator. I learned something about my Father as it relates to my plans. That many times in the natural, I do not have what it takes to accomplish the goal. God says, go forth and do this. You look in your bank account, and your bank account got that little dash in front. Y'all know what the dash means? That dash means you owe us. It's nice and red to make sure you're not confused. You owe us. That's what that dash means. By the smile on your face, I'm assuming a couple of you have seen that once or twice in your lifetime.
Yes.
And so many times we look at our assets, our connections, our resources, and it doesn't add up to the goal that we want to accomplish. But I've learned something about the good Father. I found that if I do the thing that He has called me to do, He will do one of three things. He will either, one, give me what I need to attain what I have to get that thing. If there's a thing that I need and I don't have it, He will give me what I need in order to get that thing.
Yes.
He'll give me that. Or two, He'll just give me the thing. Sometimes what He'll do is He'll just drop somebody in your life that will just bless you with the thing that you were missing.
Right.
So He'll, one, either give you what you need to go and get it for yourself. Or two, He'll provide an alternative means of obtaining it that ain't got nothing to do with you.
Right.
Or third, which is my favorite one, He'll just eliminate the need. He'll make it such a way that you don't even need that thing anymore to accomplish the goal. Well, you said, well, what are you talking about? I remember my wife and I, we were living on 105 in Superior. Remember that raggedy house? That house so raggedy, when we moved out, they tore it down. It was a really bad house. And I didn't want to be there, but my financial situation said, be still. And I was working hard, struggling, cutting down trees, I believe it was, for a living at that time. And I was at this phase in my life also where I wanted to get to know God more intimately. Don't ask that question if you're not serious about it. I said, God, I want to get to know you better. How many of you know that you can't know that God is a healer unless you're sick?
That's right. For sure.
So when you're saying, Lord, I want to get to know you better, well, hold a sec. Are you sure?
All right.
Are you sure? Because you got to go through some things to get to know. You can't know He can heal you if you've never been sick. You can't know He's a deliverer if you've never been caught up and bound. You got to go through some things. But I said, God, I want to get to know you better. He says, all right, quit your job. I'm like, all right, that ain't God, clearly, because I know God's voice, and you know the Father, a man that does not work. That's what I'm saying. He said, nah, quit it. I said, well, Lord, how do I pay rent without a job? Is that a logical question?
Yes.
You believe that is a fair question to ask the Father?
Yes.
I asked him, and he said nothing. He said, you said you wanted to know me, quit your job. I'm crazy, so I did it. And this, I'll be honest with you, I'll tell the truth. I was expecting God to open up the windows of heaven and pour me out a blessing that I didn't have room enough to receive. Such a thing never happened. Because when you quit your job, you can't pay your bills. It's logical. All of a sudden, you thought you were struggling to pay your bills with the job, try paying it without it.
Oh, Jesus.
And so I'm sitting here like, Lord, so the first couple days I was hyped up like many of us are in spirituality. I'm excited, like I know what God gonna do. Woo, she about to bless me with a Bentley and a mansion because I quit my job. You don't get a Bentley and a mansion for quitting your job. You lose your car and your house when you quit your job. What are you talking about? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, for a few days, nothing happened. So I says, all right, I know how to make God move. I'm not going to eat. Isn't that what we do sometimes? God, I'm going to give up food. Now you got to bless me. That's not what that's about at all. But we sometimes think that. We think we can manipulate God into doing what we need him to do. So I said, Lord, I'm not going to eat till you answer. He said, seriously? After about 2.5 days of not eating, I came to the conclusion that God doesn't always answer fast enough. For 2.5 days, he said, nothing. Nothing. Well, at least nothing. He spoke about a whole bunch of other things. Everything except for how I was going to pay my rent. Well, I got some deep revelation, but no understanding on how I was going to pay my rent. And it was a frustrating situation. But what I learned in hindsight, looking back, there was something going on behind the scenes that I was unaware of at the time. God knew it, which is probably why he put the desire in my heart to seek him more, to even ask such a crazy question. My landlord, though I had been paying rent every month, was not taking that rent money and paying the mortgage. So during at that exact same time, he lost the house. Which at first I thought was a terrible situation, because when you get those people at your front door on a Saturday morning talking about you don't live here anymore, you're like, well, what do you mean? It's 8 o'clock. What do you mean I don't live here? I pay rent, at least last month. I should be good for a while. And they asked me, said, are you such and such? I said, well, no, that's not the landlord. That's the landlord. I'm a tenant. He says, oh, well, sir, if I was you, I would find some place to move, because I can't kick you out, but I'll be back in 90 days. And I'm like, Lord, what am I going to do? So I'm like, all right, telling my wife, in these 90 days, watch God move in 90 days. Woo, he about to bless me with something, like a new job or something. Nope. I'm going to hit the lottery. Nope. Somebody going to drive by like, I told me to get you $1 million. That never happened. 90 days went by and I'm sitting and I'm stressed like, Lord, I'm just sitting here, no job, no money, and I'm asking for the release. I'm begging God, please, can I just go back to work? It's real quiet. What ended up happening is we stayed there in that house for a whole year, rent free. All I had to do was keep paying the water and so, I hustled up some stuff, doing, cutting down trees and stuff. I stayed there for a whole year rent free. He never gave me the money for rent. He just took away the rent. And I'm not saying that that's the desire I have for your life, because that was a really difficult situation. Right. But I'm simply saying that God doesn't always respond the way that you want. But he always meets the need. Yeah. The question you got to ask yourself is, what is it that you want from God? And how far are you willing to go to get it? What are you willing to do to get it? I'm like, at this point, you can't tell me that God won't make a way. That's not a fear that I have. Like when stuff falls apart, worry doesn't come in my heart anymore. I've seen him do things way too miraculously to start doubting God anymore. Yes. So you got to ask this question, like, well, what do you want to do as far as it is your part? Because that's not the end of the story. There's we talk about you want to build a house, right? You want to build something in your life, right? And so we ask him, what are you willing, what's the cost? Like, how much are you willing to give up? And I started thinking about it. And I'm going to paraphrase the text to make it simple. He talks about some planting, some watering.
Right.
But it's who?
God who gives increase.
And that's the part where people like me struggle, because my parents at age 12 was like, listen here, Christmas ain't for you. This whole little birthday gift thing's pretty much dead. You kind of got to grow up. If you want money, go get it. So I'm always used to going and getting it. Yeah, like I do it. Like everything I wanted, I had to go and get it. I had to work hard for it. Like I don't ask my parents for nothing. It's like I got to go and get it. And God is like, I don't think you understand everything. He says, yes, you got to be willing to do your part, but understand this. Some plants, some water, but it is God who makes things grow. Yes. He says, and the crazy part is we'll look back over our life because we did the plan, right? We're excited about the plan. And the thing we'll think that because we had this awesome plan and because we worked the plan, that's why it works. We'll take all the credit. God, it was me because I woke up every morning at 4 o'clock and I grind. And I went to bed every night at 11 o'clock. And between 4 and 11, I just grind and I grind and I grind and I grind. I work 7 days a week and I grind and I grind and I grind. And then I'm reminded of a Bible text where he says, God gives rest to them he loves. He says it's foolish to stay up all hours of the night doing it. He said, what are you doing? He says, what are you doing? Like, how much water do you have to give a tree to make it grow? You can't make it grow. You can prune it, you can give it fertilizer, you can give it water, but at the end of the day, you have no control over how fast it grows.
Wow. Yeah.
The awesome thing I've learned about God is he laughs sometimes. He's like, Jake, I don't really need your help. I don't really need your help. Even when God asks me to do things, compared to what he does, it's minuscule. I'll leave with this last story. Because you do have to be willing to give something. You do have to be willing to, I don't want you to think you could just sit on your do nothing and do nothing.
Yeah.
You got to do something.
Yeah.
But don't think that your something equates to what the result is.
Yes.
Get that out of your head. You have to do something, but God will take your little something and make it a lot more than what you did. I remember the last story. I think I might have even told you all this before. If I did, just act like you never heard it before. My wife and I, we're still in the same phase, still crappy house on 105 and Superior. And we're still seeking God. And I'm like, all right, we do this church thing. We're at church all the time. We're watching God do God. All right, we need $100. That's not a big ask for God, right? It's $100. If God, listen, if your God can't get you $100, maybe you need to reevaluate this. It's $100. He can do it.
Yes.
He can do it. So I'm like, God. Me and my wife were praying hard. Like, God, I was a bellman at the Renaissance Hotel at that time carrying luggage. I said, God, tomorrow is Saturday. It's the biggest day of the week. If you let me make $100, you can have everything over it. Everything over again. That was the stupidest prayer I ever prayed in my life. God's like, are you sure? He said, all right, God, if you give me, all I need is $100. If you let me make $100, I'll give you everything over it. He was like, okay, bet. So I got to work the next day. I couldn't even sleep. I woke up so early because I was excited because I just was believing God to do something amazing. Like, this was going to be my best tip day ever. I was never going to have a tip, but I was just believing God. And I got to work that day. Y'all know what a Renaissance is at Public Square?
Yeah.
So the help can't go in through the main lobby. They make the help walk around through the garage. It is what it is. And as I'm walking through, walking out the front of the building, I'm walking by, and I see the hotel manager. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. He's there. He's out in front, and they have these big, giant, concrete wastebasket dumpsters out there. And apparently, whoever was partying downtown on that Friday night, they was partying hard because it was trash just overflowing. And he, being a good hotel manager, instead of asking somebody else to get the trash, was getting it himself. And so when I saw him getting the trash, I was like, oh. Before, backing up because I ain't wanting to notice it. Because I'm trying to slide in and go carry, some luggage so I can make some money. I'm not trying to help him with trash. And I heard God clear as day say, go ask him. He needs some help. I'm like, come on, God, it might take 15 minutes. I need to go and get in and make this money.
Yeah.
He said, go ask him if he needs help. Now, everybody knows that when somebody asks you, do you need help? The polite answer is, no, I got it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows that, right? That's what you're supposed to say. So I said, sir. He said, oh, hey, Jack, how you doing? I said, would you like some assistance? He said, by the way, yes, I would like some. I'm like, come on, man. That's on the first page of the manual. Say no. And so here it is. I'm looking at it. I'm like, do I really want to touch garbage with my bare hands? I'm sorry. Sometimes I can be a pretty boy. I don't want to touch the trash. It's nasty. I got no gloves or nothing. So I'm looking for something to kind of like scrape the garbage into a bag, right? And there's this envelope, a clean white envelope, just nicely placed on top of the trash. Like it was like, oh, just like it just didn't happen. So I grabbed the clean white envelope and I go like this to kind of like scrape the trash into a bag, right? 'Cause I don't want to get that on me, that's nasty. And I'm scraping as I go like this, it jingled. Oh, cool. So I continued scraping, and once I was full, we tied that bag up, took the bag out, had the other one. But I saw this envelope, I'm like, wow, there's some change in here. Maybe I can go buy me like a pop or something, because it felt like, 50 cents, something like that. Go get you a soda. Thank God for Pepsi or something, I don't know. And I opened the envelope up. It was $365 in an envelope. But I started taking off down the street like, yes! Oh, God! Oh, I got $365. I got $300. Won't he do it? I got $365. He said, how much do you have?
100.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the most spiritual person. At that moment, my spiritual hockey went down real fast. I was like, dang, I got 100. I didn't even want to carry luggage that day. And I still made like another $100 carrying luggage. So it was all good, but the real test was the next day. When you show up for church.
Oh, yeah. The
You
test.
guys be like, well, God, you know, God, I didn't really mean everything over 100. And I'm like, one thing I'm not going to do is if God meets his end of the bargain, how dare you not meet yours?
Yes.
That was the hardest offering I've had. The second hardest. The second hardest offering. I've given some other ones. My wife would say some horrible stories. The second hardest offering I ever had to give. But I thought about this. God doesn't need my help, and he proved it in that moment. He said, before I even lifted a real finger, come on, I didn't really do anything to earn that money. Come, you can't tell me that cleaning that trash is worth $365. But what if I had not did my part and wasn't asked?
Yeah.
My part was minuscule. My part may even seem insignificant. But without that one part, I could never get that thing that I desired from God. And so I understand I have to do my part, but never get it confused that it's not simply what I did that makes this possible. It's the Creator who does it.
Yes.
It's the loving Father. It's the good Father who does it. And so my hope for you today is this, that you, one, define what it is that you want. That you, two, define what you're willing to do to get it.
Yes.
Name your price up front. Name your price up front. And then 3, do what you're supposed to do. Do all you can do.
That's right.
And then 4, trust God for the outcome. 1, define what it is you want today.
That's right.
2, name your price. Because if it ever gets above your price, walk away. Name your price up front. Now, some things may require a blank check, but that's up to you. Name your price up front. 3, do everything that you possibly can do. Do your parts. But then 4, trust God for the outcome. The question is, how far are you willing to go to get what you want? I'm going to tie this thing in. That's the end. Jesus is amazing because he wrote a blank check. It takes a lot of guts to write a blank check. Because that means you're completely relying on another individual to decide what the cost is going to be.
Okay.
But for some things in life, they're so big that the only way you can attain it is to write that blank check. Blank check means that if they're willing to, they can fill it in with whatever number they want. And what if that number is everything you got? What if the number is everything you got? Some of us endorse, you know, on the back of the check, you can put on there, do not cash it over this amount.
Okay.
And he didn't do that. He literally was willing to sacrifice everything for the cause. Everything. And I think why so many of us fail at so many things in our life is because we're afraid to write that blank check. We fail in our marriages because we write on the back of it, do not cash it over this amount. We fail in our businesses because we write on the back of that check, do not cash it over this amount. You got some things in life that are just so big, so important. You got to be willing to just write the blank check. And this relationship with God, if you really want to have a relationship with God, a true relationship, not just the church stuff. I mean, a true, deep, one-on-one, God, I know you and you know me type relationship, that can only be paid for with a blank check. It can only be paid for with a blank check. You just sign your name and date it and you hand it over. Because I'll be honest with you, God is wise enough to know that if he told you what it was going to cost, most of you would run. Excuse me, I apologize. Most of us would run. We would run. We'd never pay it. And that's only because we don't realize that when it's all paid and you get to the end result, you'll be like, it was worth it. But when you're facing the cost, it can be so scary. But after you've gone through it, you find out how amazing your Creator is and how amazing he created you to be.
Yes, yes.
So he just says, just write the blank check and get on board. Don't worry about it, just keep on going, get on board. Define the thing that you want and just get on board. Make it up in your mind that you're going to do it today and just get on board. That's the example he set for you. God wants an amazing life for each and every one of his children.
Yes.
Most of us are never going to experience it.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that's not what God wanted for us.
Right.
It's what he wants. Are you willing to define it? Are you willing to ask? Are you willing to fight for it? Are you willing to sacrifice everything for what God has for you?
Yes.
If the answer is yes, get ready for a really, really fun roller coaster ride. If the answer is no, you'll be that person that see the point like, that looks fun.
Yep.
That looks fun. That looks fun. That looks fun. That's my hope for you all this day. What is it that you want? What are you willing to pay to get it?